Roughly at this position, a little bit over a year ago, we made a video about the bed liner we were going to be putting into the pickup before the pickup even got painted and before it's come an incredibly long way. That was like the first thing we did to really make it look nice. So today, per requests of a lot of people who watched that video, we are going to do kind of a overview, or at least a review of how well this has held up over a year. Now obviously for some of that year it wasn't a paint booth, but outside of that I have used it for some daily use, for moving stuff around. Tore out a fence and carried boards in it. I did a bathroom remodel and carried drywall and other trim and boards in it, as well as other things too, and mulch and dirt. And I tore out a tree and had limbs in it from that I hauled around, and just a handful of other stuff. I mean, I don't use it every day as a work truck, but I do use it to haul some stuff around, and other things that I'm obviously forgetting from over that year. But let's see how it held up, and just go from there. All right, so actually let's look closer at the bed itself. The first thing I need to say is the truck went to the booth with the bed liner already being done. So all this discoloration you're seeing in the bed liner is actually overspray and stuff like that from the paint booth. So the discoloration's not accurate. The back of it's still nice and dark. That didn't get as much of the discoloration from overspray in the paint booth and stuff like that. So the sides are pretty accurate, but obviously all this little white junk that you're seeing and some of these white kind of like splatter marks and stuff down the corners, that's all paint. So none of that is damage like on the bed itself. So discoloration wise, yours probably won't do this if you don't spray your truck in a paint booth, you know, with a fresh bed liner. So that's the first thing I'm gonna say. The next thing I'm gonna say is the big thing we wanted to see is how this kind of holds up long-term with loads carrying things. So that being said, we do have some spots we will focus up where we have worn through the actual liner itself. So we got a spot here, a little bit bigger spot there, kind of a group of a couple little ones here and here and here and here. Some of this is paint. So some of these white speckles are paint. There's a little wear mark here and here as well. My paint there. Here and here we've worn through, paint, 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 paint. So a lot of paint over there. We have one that was back here as well that was mildly early on, I want to say. This one I did a test with and just took like a Sharpie and just covered it up, see if it stayed, you know, black, and it did, just to see if that's a way to kind of cover if you do make it through. We'll move back further into the bed. Looks like we got one down there, but we're not obviously focusing, so let's do that. So we got one down there, and then paint. And then one of the first ones I had on the very first time when I had some boards that were wedged against the back, we wore some off here as well in a small spot. And that was Sharpied by me as well, just to see again what that would do. Outside of those spots, that's kind of the main parts of the bed that don't look as good and have worn off. Now the issue, I think you could definitely wear a bunch more off if you had heavier or loads, or you were dragging and pushing things that were sharp against it. I think it depends on how well it adheres to your bed. Overall, I'm still pretty pleased with this. I think the biggest thing I would do, since this is a full-size bed, it's not like a tiny bed, I would spray it thicker. I think more coats would do a better job. And I think that is part of the problem, because where it has worn through, it seems pretty thinnish. And I think it being thin obviously makes it less structurally integral. So here's a little bit one back here too. So it has its spots. Overall, it still looks and protects a million times better than without the bed liner. So I'm still pretty pleased with it, especially for the price and the amount of effort that was involved. I would just spray it thicker. So if you're still looking to do this or looking for a long-term review, I still give it a thumbs up, especially for the price. Not super difficult, still looks 1,000 times better than the way it was, and it still is protecting it more than without the bed liner. So, and again, it masked every ding and dent in there still. So again, it's still definitely made the most sense to do it this way. And I think it turned out really good. Obviously the discoloration, I don't know if I'll be able to scrub some of that out eventually, or if I can get some kind of something to cut through it, because it is paint, but it's what it is. I have some discoloration, but overall it still looks good. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Interested to know what you guys think about how well it's held up over the year. Go ahead and let me know in the comments, or if you did do this to your truck and how well it went for you and how well it's held up if you did yours a while ago too. So definitely let me know. Other than that, hopefully this was helpful. Drop a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed for future content, and keep that bell notification on. If not, all good. And I'll just see all of you guys in the next video.